good faith.
First, I got working for the Democrats. It's just common sense, though. I think the American public is looking for after this kind of violence. I think that the Republican Party may stay in trying to have a good kind of comprehensive policies that we need, but something needs to be done. And I think background checks, with 90% of the U.S. public saying that it's a good idea, is something that I think both sides can agree on.
All right, Crystal, what do you think?
Well, I actually agree with Jason that we do need.
What's the time and date of this?
I know. Well, Jason and I can agree on things, but seriously, I think Jason has a point that we need a common sense approach to our gun laws and the Second Amendment. But I don't think that the approach we're taking is anything rooted in common sense. I mean, there are going to be enough amendments offered to this bill that you could decorate a Christmas tree with. And I think for me, the real problem with both Democrats and Republicans is that the face of the gun debate has become a face of white America and white victims. And nowhere in this debate, I think it was tragic what happened with Sandy Hook, but nobody has talked about the black genocide occurring in cities like Chicago and Washington, D.C., where you have young black men who are killing and being killed by guns at epidemic rates. And I would like to see an honest debate about the root of this problem, which I think is the breakdown of the family and mental illness. And I think background checks, sure, that's part of it, but I don't see this going anywhere. You can't even get Democrats to get consensus on some of these measures who are running in states, you know, where they have pro-gun, you know, Second Amendment populations. So I think it's just misguided from the beginning.
Okay, Jason, let me ask you this. You know, we can see dozens of amendments offered to this bill. Right. What's going to be the strategy? Offer amendments that will get support, or just offer amendments to, you know, get rid of the main bill?
I think a lot of the Republicans right now, they just don't want this bill at all. So they're going to offer amendments that are going to slow up the process, offer amendments that are connected to financial issues and funding in different areas one way or another, to pretty much scuttle the process and see if they can continue to weaken the Democrats' resolve. You already saw that Harry Reid got rid of the assault weapons ban. They're going to see if they can water down background checks. They definitely don't want anything to get rid of the gun show loophole. I think that's what the Republican strategy is. But again, I think there's going to be members of the party who say we need to come up with something.
Do you agree with that, Crystal? Do you agree with that?
Well, no, actually, I don't. I think the reason why I mean, Jason and I are agreed on everything now. This is not minds, but Salt was supportive of it. Remember, Harry Reid is a pro-gun Democrat, and he knew that, you know, her reintroducing the 1994 assault, Democrat. So this isn't just a Republican thing. I think we need to get back to common sense, and Chicago and Illinois does virtually nothing to stop gun violence because we're not addressing the root of the problem.
Okay, Crystal, let's move on to a different subject. The Republican National Committee is holding their spring meeting in Hollywood. Yesterday, the members voted against same-sex marriage, reaffirming their views that marriage is between a man and a woman only. No one expected them to make a major change and support same-sex marriage, but why hold this vote at all?
Well, I mean, why does the DNC, the Democrat National Committee, hold votes on being pro-choice and for gay marriage? It's part of our platform. Why wouldn't we reiterate it at a time and a climate when the Supreme Court is taking up two different cases around same-sex marriage? And the fact of the matter is, many black Americans and Latinos still believe in defining a traditional definition of marriage. So I think if we're trying to outreach to more voters and grow the big tent in the Republican Party, we need to talk about what we're for and not what we're against.
Jason's jumping in here.
I think it's a waste of time. I understand what the Republican Party stands for, and I think it's perfectly fine. But here's the thing: after the autopsy of the 2012 election, where Reince Priebus went and looked through, I think they're still kicking the same dead horse. Okay, you did the autopsy. Everyone knows that the Republican Party is in favor of their definition of traditional marriage. But these kinds of votes simply reinforce a focus on the culture wars, and that's a waste of time for the Republican Party when they should be focusing on the budget and smaller government. Those are the issues that work for the RNC. These sorts of things, especially holding the vote in Hollywood.
Move on to a different topic as well. It seems like every week we could take time to talk about politicians and the dumb things that they say. 2 weeks ago, it was Alaska. This week, we've got this from Saline County, Kansas Commissioner Jim Gile. Listen.
I guarantee it'll be the same if you go to Oregon. What did you say, Jimmy? Afro-American, isn't it?
Okay, let's go on and hear his apology now.
I certainly didn't intend to offend anyone, and I
husband. I apologize for making the mistake. I don't use it at all. It was just one of those things that it was there, and I don't know why it came out.
Okay, so Giles also explained he's not a racist, saying he's built habitat homes for colored people. Crystal, very quickly, should he give up on politics at this point?
He should shut his mouth. I mean, that's what he should do. I'm a black woman, obviously, and I've been called the N-word. It's repugnant. I've been called by Democrats, liberal-leaning people, just like I've been called it by blacks and conservatives. But, you know, it's bad, and it should be condemned, but it also should be condemned when people like liberal commentator Toure use the N-word to Mitt Romney during last year's campaign, but I didn't really see a lot of coverage of that.
Democrats
so, you know,
too, Jason.
Yeah,
it's bad all the way around.
That's not the issue. The issue is anybody who does this is a fool and should be ashamed. And of course, he's a racist. And I'm so sick and tired of these politicians getting on the air and then crying after the fact when they've been caught. Look, when you say things like this, you suffer political consequences. And it's not just a matter of saying something racist, but when you're an elected official, I could care less what a political pundit says, but when you're an elected official, you are saying a comment about people you're supposed to be representing. How does a black person or a Hispanic person in that district feel when you hear somebody that you possibly voted for using these kinds of comments? It's an embarrassment, and he should really evaluate how well he can represent his district.
Well, I agree with Jason on that. It is an embarrassment, and it's an embarrassment no matter what your political stripe is, Democrat, independent, other. It's repugnant, and it should stop, period,
Okay.
all the way down the line.
Then we shall end on the agreement on this lovely Saturday. Crystal Wright and Jason Johnson, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Look at this, undercover videos like this one. They've helped stop animal